The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
You're now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. One of our computers is on around here. We have one of our computers is listening live as we listen live. Does your computer cut off? Oh, okay. Anyway, here we are, and it is Tuesday, April 18th, tax day. If you haven't filed your taxes, like I haven't, you have until midnight, which means as soon as the show is over, I need to go home and press send on my taxes. But a lot happening in the news. But before I go any further, two things that I like to do at the top of the show. One, thanks to all of our patrons for making this possible. We can't do it without you. If you take a look at all of the posts that I've been sharing, you'll see that I'm continuously being hit by YouTube for demonetizing of the demonetization of my videos. I have really few videos that are bringing in any revenue anymore because we cover serious issues. We cover the news legitimately, and YouTube has done what they've done. So I've said that every week so far. I want to thank the patrons. Number two, tomorrow night, I can finally say it. We've been working on this for a little while. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I will be, cue up that applause for me. I will be hosting a live show for the Intercept's Facebook live stream. Oh, there it is behind us, the Intercept, Benjamin Dixon. Yep. This is what I've been alluding to for some time now. I've been talking about it and trying to keep it under wraps. And, you know, it's just, I've been excited about it. I've been working with Glenn probably since December, just casual conversations about it, and then working with the team there. And we wanted to do a stream to really just kind of introduce me to their audience and, you know, provide a service for them to bring this conversation, this discussion, the analysis, the interviews, all that we do here at the Progressive Army, to bring it to the Intercept. So starting tomorrow night, we're just going to do a show and we'll see how it goes. Let's see where it goes from there. It could go somewhere and it could go nowhere. But my money, good money is on it going somewhere anyway. All right. That being said, because my show is airing at 8 o'clock, that means Anoa Changa, my sister from another mister, her show is going to take my regular, on Wednesday night, she's going to take my regular 9 o'clock spot. So be sure that after you watch me on Facebook Live, to come on over to YouTube and watch The Way with Anoa at 9 p.m. So that's it, man. That's what's going on. Special thanks to Brandon Sutton for covering me for last night. We were working on some technical things here, so we couldn't quite get to the show, but Brandon jumped in and was clutch as usual. All right, let's get to the conversation. The phone will be open. The phone lines are open now, 857-600-0518 if you want to chime in, if you want to give us your take. And I am joined in studio by Alexander the Meh off of Twitter. I know him as John McDonald. I don't really follow him too much on Twitter because we argue too much on Twitter, but he's in studio with me now. John, how's it going?
Not bad.
Thanks for joining me. I would just shake your hands, but it's kind of awkward. So, John, tell us about yourself, man.
Well, I joined Twitter. Basically, I was forced onto Twitter because I was talking politics too much in 2015, and I found a whole bunch of like-minded people. And it became a quick family. And then, Ben and I took a trip to the DNC and down in Philly.
Yeah, you were our house mother.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was
security.
Security and logistics.
And driver.
Right. And but we can't forget Mike James when we talk about security.
Definitely Mike James was security. Nobody was going to mess with us when Mike's
absolutely not. So then it just became doing little bits of research for people here and there, including you guys here on Benjamin Dixon Show, Progressive Army, and that's what I did in my spare time. And now it seems like I'm going to have a lot more spare time because I was just laid off on Friday.
Thanks a lot, Trump. Thanks, Trump.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Actually, I guess you can tie it to that.
Yeah, it is. Mostly, a lot of the backlog that happens in my industry kind of dried up, mostly because of the EPA. And so with the EPA and the hiring freeze in the government, a lot of the backlog for work that my company would have been bidding on kind of got frozen.
Wow.
So as a direct result of that, we didn't really have anything in the pipe. So that was it.
Well, I'm lobbying to get John to start a podcast. John has a lot to say. I would say John probably has more to say than I have to say. John might be one of the few people I've ever run into who talks more than me.
I don't know about that. Probably an equal amount. I wouldn't say more.
No, I think you got more to say. But anyway, I think John should get a podcast and start sharing, because he's a smart dude. Not that it matters, but you're Ivy League educated, Brown University, right?
Yep.
So you have the education background. Yeah, I just went to a measly old state school.
Yeah, but
right?
I went for philosophy and computer science. Like, I didn't really do anything that could be applied. Maybe
The computer
philosophy, sort of, but
Yeah.
didn't.
But you got the
political
education,
theory.
you got the background, you have the presence, and so I think you would have a great podcast. But instead of us talking about you having a great, let's make tonight a great podcast,
All right,
and maybe
sounds good.
that'll be a good sign. All right, so the race in Georgia going down right now. Ossoff, I don't know how
Ossoff.
you and Ossoff. All right, we'll call it Ossoff. It looks like he actually could pull this off. I didn't think he could do it.
It's looking pretty good. I was just checking the map. One of the things that I noticed was that areas where Trump carried the vote by 72%, 62%, Ossoff is winning those currently at
Yeah.
around 50, 52. Now, a lot of that could be because of early voters. They're expecting it to kind of go late. And if you look at the trending numbers for the votes as they come in, Ossoff's vote share is going down. Now, if Ossoff gets more than 50%, he wins outright. But if it goes less than 50%, it goes to a runoff.
Okay.
And that runoff will be between him and whoever wins the Republican field.
Yeah.
Now, with the Republican field, it's a large field right now.
Yeah.
So if it goes to a runoff, it's a good possibility Ossoff will not take it.
So I mean, we'll see. But he seems to be the darling of everybody. Like out of nowhere, I didn't see this guy. I didn't know who this guy was 2 days ago, right? And maybe because I've been unplugged, but still, I didn't know who this guy was 2 days ago. Now I see him with every celebrity. I mean, I've seen him with rappers. I've seen him with everybody. Like, why is everybody in love with him all of a sudden?
Well, he used to work for John Lewis. He has done a couple of production videos, including something about, I'm not really sure exactly what it was, to be honest with you, but I know that it garnered a lot of attention when he put it out. He also seems to have worked for a couple of think tanks in the past.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he is a centrist darling. And now he's also run a campaign with a very strong anti-corruption rhetoric, which is good.
Yeah.
The problem is that it seems mostly third way that's pushing him.
Yeah.
And so that's where I stand. Like we were talking about this earlier, but I'm kind of on the fence. I see a silver lining in a win, and I also see a silver lining in a loss for progressives.
Yeah, because you're of the opinion that a win for a guy like Ossoff, who seems to be a pretty centrist third-way Democrat, would send the wrong message to the establishment that everything is fine.
Right. And all you have to do is not be Trump in order to win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to pull this card on you, but like the stuff that Trump is pulling directly affected your life negatively.
Yep.
Right. So if we had a House and a Senate that actually could block him, wouldn't that, well, not necessarily for the EPA, but for other people who are being hurt by him, wouldn't that be better?
It would, but the problem becomes what is better or what is slightly better.
So you have the status quo,
Right.
which is not good, not great, but it's not, the Ayn Rand society that that they want to bring, right?
Right.
That Paul Ryan is sitting waiting like desperately. The Freedom Caucus, who's negotiating with Trump now on health care, the reason they couldn't get the bill because it wasn't draconian enough. I mean, as bad as the status quo centrism is for a lot of people, like no question, it could get worse.
It could get worse, but that also is ignoring the point that it could get better. I mean, if you look at all of the programs,
does it have to get better? Does it have to get worse before it gets better?
not necessarily.
Because
but-
if you empower Trump any further, it's going to get a lot worse.
okay, but if you empower the centrists any further, what better
You
are you
just
going to
get you get the same status quo.
But not necessarily, because the status quo is entropy. It's going towards negative impact on everybody. So what you're seeing right now, especially when you look at, okay, let's take Governor Cuomo's education plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they means tested the hell out of that to affect only a certain portion of the income sphere.
Yeah.
And that was a Bernie proposal. Now, that's what centrists do to good proposals. They means test them into oblivion to the point where they no longer help the people that
I don't
they
disagree.
propose.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about what is slightly better, there's a large difference between what is good and what is slightly better than Trump. And I'm not willing to say that Ossoff in the long run will be better for my position or for the position of progressives in this country.
That's saying I'm willing to crash a car now because the car is not going to get any better, right? It's slowly but surely going to get worse. It's slowly but surely going to fall apart. But let me just crash that bitch right now.
Because I might have to take the bus for 2 weeks, but then I'll get a Mercedes.
Where you're going to get this Mercedes?
But that's my point, is you're ruling out the Mercedes and saying your only options are slightly...
In 2 weeks, right? You have some 2 weeks. It could be 20 years.
It could be 20 years.
Right.
But that's the point. You should be trying to... In terms of engineering, you should always be striving to make something that
but in engineering, you're not going to destroy what your baseline, right? When somebody builds a new car, since we're going to use cars, they very rarely throw the entire base out.
We were just talking about engineered obsolescence as being a major thing that happens in American industry. So yes, people do that.
Yeah,
and these economic policies
they do it, but do they throw it
now.
out? Do they throw it out just because are they going to creative destruction? Right, you're talking about destroying you're destroying the entire framework in hopes of getting something more, when one, you're not promised to get anything better, and two, you don't really know how long it's going to take to get there. And I know we're doing a big jump off just from Ossoff, right?
Of course.
It's a huge jump off from Ossoff, but it's the general conversation that is still lingering in progressive circles. Do you put somebody in there to back Trump off the ledge, right? Or do you hold out and wait for something better? And my opinion is like, one, if we don't have a framework to get enough people in there to actually change something to be better, then we are essentially just destroying. You're not going to ever get anything better. You're just ensuring that the system is destroyed.
But the problem is the system is ensuring its own destruction, because when we put up in Kansas 04 a progressive candidate, the DCC, the DNC, and multiple other establishment Democrats didn't even touch him, and he came within single digits.
Right.
Now you have Ossoff, who's had the establishment backing from the very beginning. He raised something like $3.5 million before he even entered the race, and has garnered, I think, 8.4 total expenditures. So that's every single centrist.
For a House race. That's ridiculous.
For a House race. But that speaks to a large portion of backing that he wouldn't necessarily have in any other year.
Okay.
So we're being given that false choice of you only have Ossoff, or you have a centrist Democrat, or you have Trump. We just had another choice, but instead of being given that choice and having that choice be actually run, what ended up happening was he was sabotaged from the state party that wouldn't even give him 20 grand to run a
I don't disagree with you on any of that. I disagree with you on how you're applying this, right? We're not talking about a situation of a general campaign anymore. We're talking about President Trump, who has demonstrated that in every way you disliked Hillary Clinton and in every way you dislike Barack Obama, he wants to maximize and extend it even further. He doesn't want to just bomb people in the Middle East. He wants to drop the mother of all bombs on people in the Middle East, right? He doesn't want to just deport and be the deporter in chief. He wants to be the deporter in chief squared and build a wall. So everything that you hate about Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, you're getting magnified in Donald Trump. And it's no longer academic. Like, he's here.
Oh, yeah.
He's here. So are you going to sit back and just let him do what he does because you can't get the right Democrat in there?
Absolutely not. But that's also, once again, going to that false choice. You're given a choice.
Who's the other choice in the Georgia race?
There was no other progressive running.
So it's not a false choice. That is your choice.
No, but we also had Kansas 04, which would have
but
done
that's
the
a different
same thing.
race.
No, but it's a House race where we would have had the same situation.
It's in Kansas, and Georgia is on the East Coast.
I understand what you're talking about with location. That doesn't do it.
It's a different race.
I understand it's a different race, but we're talking control of the House in order to check Donald Trump.
Right.
So control of the House means House representatives winning races, which Kansas 04 was one. But he was too progressive.
Yeah. No, I mean, what you're doing is, and I'm not disagreeing with you on this, you're reciting the fact, or you're setting up the case that the DCCC and the Democratic establishment sucks.
Right, and they're pre-selecting people
of
who
course.
agree with them.
Right
now,
and
you're
who's
saying
who's
that those.
I think Zed Janali, or no, not Zed. It was Stoller.
Yeah.
He was talking about this is just what they do. That's what they're designed to do.
Correct. Now, but what you're saying is that that's the only choice that we possibly have.
No. What I'm saying is, right now in Georgia, do you have a progressive to choose from?
No.
So that's the only choice you have
In Georgia,
In
which is
Georgia.
why I say silver lining in both instances.
Okay. So we agree there. We agree there.
but
All right,
my-
let's take the first caller.
right.
And you know, you're very emphatic. You're not, you know, be careful on hit the table because if the microphones picks it up. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and/or question?
Hey Ben, it's Jared from Downingtown, PA. How you doing?
Doing good, Jared. What's happening?
I'm watching these results about this Georgia race. Honestly, I really don't care what the outcome is at this point. I mean, maybe he'll win, maybe he won't.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just because at the end of the day, we're still getting the same crap that we always seem to get with the Democrats. They're pretty much a worthless party at this point.
Thank you, Jared.
Excluding only the only person I think at this point who at least has somewhat of a coherent message is Tulsi Gabbard, who she's the only Congress person who said that there's no proof that Assad even gassed any of his own people.
Now
in
we got to
the
talk about
so-called
this shit.
chemical attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jared, thanks for the call. Just because you just opened up, I'm cutting you off because you just opened up a can of worms that is going to have us arguing at least for 30 minutes here. Actually, no, we pretty much agree on Tulsi. At this
Yeah, we
point.
do.
Okay.
How do you want to frame it, though? I mean,
I don't even know how to. Let's
because
back
we
up.
argued for about an hour to get to the point where we agree on Tulsi.
Yeah,
so.
we had to argue about Tulsi. But before we go to Tulsi, I still think that you and Jared are wrong.
I
You
know.
and Jared are wrong because you're consigning us over to having now. Okay, let's start here. His single race is not going to turn the tide, right?
Correct.
The numbers. I mean, we need how many seats to take over the House? I don't even know off the top of my head. It's not, but it's one step further in the right direction to get opposition to Donald Trump. Because right now, like, listen, I'm not saying that we need to throw our lot in with the Democratic Party because we see how they operate, right? They're consistently operating in the same fashion. However, to have a divided government would be very beneficial for everybody right now.
You're absolutely right, but the problem becomes is what does that divided government agree on? And when you have
Well,
the
same thing they would agree on even if it was an all Republican government,
not
which is war.
necessarily. Not necessarily.
War, yeah.
Well, we saw from the healthcare bill that the divided government really didn't affect that. It was mostly the divides within the
single party, yeah.
So when we talk about it being a divided party or a divided government making beneficial for all of us by halting everything, but what the downfall and the negative side effect of this is, and this is the Jimmy Dore argument is what I'm going to call it, but essentially...
Hey, Jimmy.
But essentially that the negative reinforcement of the positive reinforcement of negative behavior by the Democrats on an Ossoff win will be detrimental to a progressive movement in this country because you disagree with me on this.
No, I'll tell you why. Go ahead.
All right. Because we see that if Ossoff were to win, the message from the Democrats would be, as I stated, you don't need to change, just be not Trump. So you can continue to take large sums of money from defense contractors, from pharmaceuticals, from all of the bad actors in our economy and our government, and do whatever it is that you want to do.
That presupposes that you can actually teach the Democrats anything to begin with.
Right.
I don't believe that you can.
I don't believe that we can.
So why teach them a lesson? Why worry about the fact that this race won't teach them a lesson? The only thing this race does to me is not to teach the Democrats a lesson. It simply says, let's get one step closer to having a divided government, to have complete gridlock on anything that Donald Trump wants to do. The only thing that they would agree on is the same thing they would agree on even if they had a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate, which is war. That's the consensus across both parties.
Killing net neutrality, killing...
Well, actually, no. So net neutrality is we could argue about that. But in terms of the recent browser history, that actually was pretty party line.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. But, so I mean that would have been a great time for us to have some centrist Democrats in there to block Donald Trump in order for us to not have to worry about Amazon selling us, our well, they do that anyway.
Right.
But of Comcast selling people our browser history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a decent place where I don't care what the Democratic Party establishment learns or not learn. They've demonstrated to me that they're fully capable of losing to the idiot in chief and not learning anything. So I'm not trying to teach them a lesson. I'm trying to stop Donald Trump's onslaught and Paul Ryan's wet dreams of having a completely libertarian-esque society.
Oh, it's not even really libertarianism.
It's well, yeah, I mean, but that's who he claims it is. But to stop that onslaught, not to, and then here's the other thing, I've already decided from this election, we are not going to birth a progressive movement out of the Democratic Party. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that we should not leverage the Democratic Party to stop the hemorrhaging, right? Right now, Donald Trump, besides his fecklessness, if he was more competent, God forbid what he could get done. But his fecklessness has, cool. His fecklessness has led to, but I lost my whole train of thought looking at the new graphic. Okay.
Well,
anyway.
no, see, but the thing is you're talking about things that I agree with you on. I mean, we're not disagreeing on this point. I'm saying, but you're saying that it would be a net benefit for Ossoff, and I'm saying that I can see a silver lining for both, a win and a loss.
No, I don't see that silver lining because the Democrats aren't going to learn nothing anyway.
I think that not necessarily all Democrats, but I think that you will see a larger portion of the party than what is already pushing for them to become more progressive, to start pushing a message to become more progressive, and maybe just maybe we'll actually see our media start talking about it too. It's a pipe dream.
I mean, you got more faith than Christians, I know, man. Like, you got more hope and faith. I don't have any faith in the Democratic Party, but I also don't see any value in not utilizing them to be a buffer against Trump. Being a buffer against Trump simply means stay the line, hold the line, just hold the line until progressives actually gather and group and do something. But to think that we're going to be able to do something by learning the Democrat, we're going to learn them something. They're going to teach a lesson. We're going to teach them a lesson. No, they're not going to learn anything.
The only thing is though that I see any defeat of a Democrat to be not necessarily, oh my God, we're going to teach them a lesson. Although I do think that remains a possibility. But I think that when you have
ginger beard, man, I love the ginger beard.
I'm glad.
It's great. Like you reminded me of the dude off of Abraham off of Walking Dead, except he was ginger all the way around.
Yeah, I used to be a ginger when I was a kid. No longer.
No longer. Yeah. No, he didn't have a beard before tonight. Before
I did just
the
grow
winter.
This in 12
no,
hours.
he grew it totally in like 3 hours. But anyway, it's captivating. I'm just
Okay.
Anyway,
so what I was. He totally disrupted me, man.
I know.
All right, so what I was saying was that it's not necessarily just to teach the Democrats a lesson. The Democrats, what they excel at, obviously, isn't winning elections, but it is killing the left. Mm-hmm. They excel at killing the left. And when you see them lose power, it's possible that, and I'm saying possible, I'm not saying likely, but it is possible that some of their fan base might bleed off. Some of their influence in legitimacy of their voices in media might bleed off. But then again, I mean, they're still having Donna Brazile on CNN. So.
You know why? Because they have the money.
MSNBC,
They have the money. And I knew when Trump won, there was going to be a surplus of cash that just flowed into the DCCC, the DNC. They were going to be fine into the think tanks, to Neera Tanden's organization.
Did you see the reporting that Sirota did?
I haven't seen the most recent.
3 times as much as what was going into.
So they're never going anywhere
from corporations.
They're not going anywhere. Right. And you thought Trump was going to teach them a lesson? No, Trump is the cash cow that keeps giving.
Yep.
Democrats are going to be just fine in terms of an institution. They don't have to change their ways because they're getting paid even more money now not change their ways.
It's the producers.
Yeah.
They can make more money losing.
They can make more money losing in this case. And so for anyone but here's the problem with thinking that you're going to siphon off a progressive movement from the Democratic Party. It's because it means that you're creating your entire framework for a progressive movement based on the Democratic Party.
Oh, no,
when the Democratic Party has already demonstrated that they are not going to change. 2, they have more money than God right now, and they could do whatever the hell they want to, even when they are absolutely, positively wrong. I don't care. Only thing the Democratic Party can do is to divide the government to stop Donald Trump's onslaught, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, if the status quo was bad, it can get worse.
Oh, yeah. I agree 100% with that. Okay. But the thing that I disagree with is that we can't bleed off some of the base of the Democratic Party. I mean, you talk to
I mean,
voters.
you could bleed them off, but it's not going to be by teaching them lessons in elections. It's going to be going door to door. It's going to be going to the barbershops. It's going to be going to synagogues and churches and mosques and talking to people and
radicalizing your mom.
Radicalizing your mom, radicalizing your nephews, radicalizing everybody. You know, that's the only way you're going to actually do it. But like, they're never going to. If it's a local, it's going to have to be a local movement to actually change this. All right, Michael Mike says dissatisfaction with Hillary-type centrism could lead to a worse, i.e. more effective fascist such as Tom Cotton. Nah. We might need to do a show together every now and then. We're not laughing at you, Mikey, man. We're just laughing at the fact that we agreed on that, like, simultaneously.
We hardly ever agree.
Yeah, we don't agree on anything except that. Tulsi Gabbard, you want to talk about her, or just keep going?
Just keep going.
Keep going. All right, we'll talk about that. If you want to know what we talked about Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, we went in on Tulsi in good ways and bad ways.
Yep.
You know, we found a consensus. If you want to get access to that, $2.99. No, go to patreon.com/the BBD show and become a patron. And the bonus show will be up immediately after tonight's show. We did about 15 minutes. About 15 minutes. And we talked about Dennis Kucinich. We talked about really the latest episode of Intercepted. I might as well go ahead and plug them here.
Yeah, why not?
They plug me. Intercepted by Jeremy Scahill on last Wednesday. He talked with Dennis Kucinich, and they talked about Tulsi Gabbard. And I had major problems with Dennis Kucinich at the end. You know, I agreed with him. I'm like, yeah, okay, I have to agree. And then, what the hell is wrong with this man? And so we talked about that pretty much in depth. Go to patreon.com/the BPD show and become a patron to get access to that and the backlog of all of our bonus shows. What else you got, man?
Do we got an update on Ossoff yet?
We'll get an update on Ossoff. So let's look into it. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I have literally been at the studio working, prepping for tomorrow's show, working very, very, very hard. And I really thought about, like, maybe I don't take the show tonight. But I'm like, no, I missed last night, and I can't do that. So anyway, we have a caller. Let's take this caller. You're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
I'm Tim from Minnesota.
Tim. Have a great sounding microphone there, Tim. How's it going?
I'm from Minnesota. We actually don't have a Democratic Party in our state.
Wow.
It's a common misconception. We are the Democratic Farm and Labor Party. So anytime you see one of our senators, Al Franken, is going to say DFL under his name.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Our Farm and Labor Party got strong enough to make the Democrats come to the table.
Come on.
So we had a successful third party.
Yeah.
So I get tired of hearing people saying we can't do it. We did it. They're still here. If you look at a map of congressional districts, you guys pull up a map, we are the only state that consistently gets rural people to vote Democrat still.
All right.
We have every rural congressional district. We have an R6 district that has been held by a Democrat since 1991. You don't just sell. You don't just sell out. You don't let the national party tell you how to run in your district. Now, he's not the perfect, Keith Ellison progressive, but he's a good progressive. He gets a 57% from progressive organizations.
Mm-hmm.
He's all right. And he's a hell of a lot better than any Republican we get there. So don't just take centrist, watered down non-ideas. In 1976, both presidential candidates were talking about an earned basic income.
Yeah.
We can move this conversation, and we have to, because every election we lose, there are single moms who have to work 3 jobs, and there are people who are getting hurt because we can't get our shit together. And take care of these folks.
Yep.
We need to win, not because, it feels good to win. I'm not a Republican. I'm out there. When I volunteered to work out here last midterm cycle, quit my job, worked for these folks because we had good people on the ballot. We won in a midterm. For governor, we won by 10 points, and for Al Franken, we took him from 537 votes to winning by 12.
Wow.
And he did it as a progressive in the middle of the Midwest. And I am tired of people telling me how these people think. These people respond when you show up and say, these are my values, this is what I care about, and this is what I want to go home. Take
Tim,
to
right?
my folks.
Hey, thanks so much for the call. That is actually a great. Hey, no, I felt your passion, man. Thanks for the call.
Good.
Absolutely, and this is what we're saying. Like he actually laid it out plain. It's something that happened on the local level. They didn't care what the National Party was saying. They went out and they organized it, and then they brought the Democratic Party to the table. Right now, I guarantee you that the Democratic establishment is constantly giving the FL portion of the DFL, giving them hell. Right,
but much like they're giving the Working Families Party in New York.
Right, but they are still leveraging the Democratic Party in the way that they need to get what they need done in their area. It's got to be on the local level. Bring that other comment back up that you just had. I didn't get a chance to read. Okay, never mind.
Was it bad?
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Thought it was a comment.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Yeah. All right.
Well, all right. So let's get back to that. I mean, yeah, it's good to go grassroots, and it's important, and that's probably the only way you're going to leverage change. But the problem with the grassroots is that you don't have that money.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, look at, we talked about this back in July when we went to the DNC, and it was like Hillary for Victory Fund. What happened to all that money that was supposed to go back to the states?
Right.
And, you know, they outspent the Orange Monster by 2 to 1, if not more. And you know, now the state party in Kansas told them they couldn't afford $20,000. So how much that money though went back to Georgia? And did any money go back to Georgia?
No, well, I want to say, okay, in terms of Kansas, it's very possible that Kansas did not have the money because the money had already gone to Hillary during the general election and the primaries, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm sure somebody may have an entire case showing where the money is. That may be the case. I haven't seen that. But just on the principle of what you said, right, the Hillary for Victory campaign fund, which made it seem as though $100,000 was going to go, or $10,000 rather, was going to go to the local parties, it actually ended up being like $100 or none in many cases. So it could be that Kansas didn't have the money. However, there's still the DCCC.
Oh yeah, they could have given.
They could have given somebody.
But I mean, like, let's look at. My point, I guess, with bringing that up was, I wonder if we're talking about centrists and how the party picks things. I wonder how much of that money was reimbursed to Georgia specifically for this election. I wonder if there's anything there.
Oh, they probably drained it all and put it all there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm totally with the idea of the reality, not the idea, the reality that the Democratic Party uses the DCCC to pick particular types of Democrats to keep a consistent brand of third way-ism in power in DC, right? From Rahm Emanuel on, like even before Rahm Emanuel, but Stoller, Matthew Stoller, what's he with the Washington? I forgot who Matt. Sorry, Matt. The Nation. He writes for the Nation every now and then.
He writes for a bunch of different.
Right. He freelance. Anyway,
I think the article you're referring to is in the Atlantic.
In the Atlantic, yes. Thank you. Sorry, man.
How the Democratic Party lost its populist soul.
Yeah, but he was pointing out how Rahm Emanuel specialized in that. Right. I think one of the number one mistake that Barack Obama made that sealed his destiny before he even went to the White House was to pick Rahm Emanuel to be his chief of staff. Right. If you read the book, there's 2 books. There's Confidence Men, and then there is it's another book, but it outlines how everything that Barack Obama wanted to do in the for the people in the recovery, Rahm Emanuel intentionally undermined, specifically said, we have to get him off of this. So just in terms of
Larry Summers too, and
Larry Summers. How do you think he got all of that whole cabal, right? Like, he trusted, he went in with this guy, his fellow Chicagoan, I think no, that was the dumbest and the worst move that he made. And it really haunted him. I mean, like, he was stuck in a trajectory that Rahm Emanuel wanted. That's because Rahm Emanuel was the leader, right? He was the leader of the Democratic Party. He's the de facto leader of the Democratic Party. He was the one ensuring that the third way DLC version of the Democratic Party still survived while Hillary Clinton was trying to figure out if she was going to actually run
Senator
for
to
president.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was Rahm Emanuel, and that was the worst pick that Barack Obama could. Now, not saying that he didn't make plenty of other mistakes even after he got rid of Rahm Emanuel,
Yeah.
but in terms of that very first mistake,
Okay.
when he Larry Geithner, is it Larry?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Larry Summers and Tim Geithner.
Geithner.
Once he picked Tim Geithner, I was like, hey, ain't nothing changing.
Yeah, it was
it's the same. It's the same.
I forget who the speech was to, but when he called himself a new Democrat, I got scared.
Yeah.
And then when he picked Geithner, it was just all over.
Yeah, no, I knew once he's got Geithner, I was like, yeah, that's it. Forget it. Anyway, so we went from Ossoff to we're intentionally skipping over Tulsi.
Yes, we are. To bait them into the
Well, no, intentionally because I don't know if I have the energy to talk about her again. Again, like I like her.
I got problems with her. Outside of what we discussed, I have
Yeah.
problems with a lot of things in her past, her family history. There are some things that I think that she needs to clearly address, and I think she could.
I don't know if I'm
clearly
comfortable with the family history thing. Like, is it something that she did in her family, or it's just her family? Because I won't hold her accountable for something her family
it's
did.
something she did in defense of her family.
Oh, okay.
And-
I'll go Google it and read. I
Yeah,
don't know that
there's
story.
some.
Yeah.
There's a good article on Huffington Post. And now again, I don't think she did anything necessarily. I think it's possible she did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if she clearly makes a statement about it, I think she could probably put it to bed.
I'm just really big on not holding people accountable for what things their family does.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, her father's ties to something don't necessarily reflect her views. Much like, I don't hold Rand responsible for Ron's problems.
They're both they have the same problems to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, very very similar problems.
I know that Ron's problem is a big problem. I don't.
Oh, I mean, no, I'm saying political. I'm just thinking like just straight politically.
Oh,
Yeah.
The libertarianism, I don't know. There are times when I think that, like, okay, I
know Ron's problem from back in the day. Well,
back in the day.
Yeah, that problem. Yeah. If you guys don't know what problem it is, go to the bonus show. No.
You just lay it out for him.
No. Okay. Let's see what else is happening in the news. There's a lot of sad stuff happening in the news, and I'm intentionally not talking about it. Steve Stevenson was found dead in Pennsylvania. I'll talk about this guy for a second, and I'm going to talk about him. Man, or do I not want to talk about him? No, I want to talk about him.
Okay.
Listen, when I saw the video, I called it. And I don't care about being right in this case. I'm actually glad. I'm so glad I was right. I saw the video of this dude and I said, you know what? This guy didn't kill 15 people. This guy didn't kill 13 people. And I started doing the math and just seeing the kind of character he was. I said, this dude didn't kill. He took everything in him to get up enough nerve to kill the man that he did kill. As tragic and horrible, he had to kill a helpless old man who couldn't do anything to defend himself. That's how big of a coward this dude was. Once I saw that, and then I saw how he was trying to brag on, yeah, man, I just killed, I snapped. I said, nah, you are a bitch ass and you are a coward and you don't even have, you are a weak individual in terms of character, in terms of morale, in terms of everything. And you're not even a good sociopath. You're not even a good serial killer. You're just horrible at everything. You're horrible at life, and he ended his own life. I didn't even think he was going to have enough heart to take his own life, to be honest with you. But he did. It's over with.
Wouldn't you say that's the coward's way out, though? Wouldn't you say that's the coward's way out?
I don't. That's a tough argument there. Like it's a coward's way out because you don't have to face reality. But there's a big step between putting a gun and that's. It takes a little. I don't know. To me, it takes a little bit of courage. I couldn't do it. I put it like that. I absolutely couldn't do it.
I don't know if I could do it, but I do know that I think death would be an easier escape than life in prison.
And I was hoping for this guy. I was hoping because of the nature of what he did that he would be alive and sit in prison and be embarrassed about his stupidity, his cowardice for the rest of his life. Like, I was hoping that he would grow old and realize that he is big of a bitch ass as everyone thought he was. Like, and the saddest thing about the story clearly is this old man, this man who did nothing wrong. And the only reason I point out the fact that he was old was because he was helpless.
Yep.
Right? This guy didn't even have enough heart to go and pull a gun on somebody who had a gun. Like he wasn't going to go. It reminds me of the white supremacist that went to New York from Maryland and he killed a 66-year-old man with a sword instead of going into someone who could fight back.
Yep.
Right. To me, that is the epitome of cowardice. And then the flip side of the conversation is that he blamed this on a woman that he was dating, or a woman that had broken up with him. And I'm like, on so many levels. Number one, clearly it has nothing to do with her. It's not her fault. Right. She had to come out and give an apology because of everything that happened in her name. Like, everybody knows her name, and now she has to live with this for the rest of her life. And everybody who knows her name is going to always associate it. And so this coward put her in the middle of this, on top of taking the life of an innocent man, grandfather. I think he was a great grandfather. And then he wants to get on Facebook to get attention and say he killed 15 people. I peeped his character right away, and I was hoping more so that I was right for the sake of not having 15 people dead, right? But then, two, as time went on, I'm like, one, if you kill 15 people, the police were going to find out, somebody's going to know about this.
Yep. And someone's going to come find you pretty quick.
Yeah. But the story kind of took an amazing twist, as much as I could even say that. He went to McDonald's in Philadelphia to order some food, and the people in the line, the workers recognized him. They gave him his McNuggets and said, we have to wait on some fresh fries. Now, that would have been me. They would have got me, because I got to wait on some fresh fries. To be honest with you, like, I cannot stand nasty fries. But he took off. But the delay they had was just long enough for the police to pursue him, and he took his own life. So Steve Stevenson is dead after going on a Facebook. Anyway, I'm tired of talking about that. But the dude was a certified coward, and he shamed himself. He shamed everybody he was associated with, and
I mean, just the heartache that he leaves in his trail.
Yeah, like the broken family, his family, the family of the man that he killed, the family of his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend. Like, this, it's hard for me to even grapple with that type of mindset.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any real connection with that mindset. Like, you get rejected, you move on. And this is right on the heels of, well, actually not, it's not recent. I just recently learned about it. A man in New York who was rejected on the train by a woman. He asked the woman if she would have his baby. She said no. He killed her. Like, and
they only knew each other from the train.
From the train. Wow. And then it's just on the heels of the man who went to the school. I forgot. There's so many things happening, but this was last week. He went to the school and killed a student and killed his wife, the 53-year-old wife, because of whatever they were going through in their marriage. And I'm like, you gotta. I don't understand. I mean, I'm clearly there's a psychopathy there. There's people who study this who have a clear definition of it. I'm just saying, from my vantage point, it's like there's not that much rejection in the world to make me snap. But yet we see this happening too often, time and time again. Anyway, all right, let's get back to politics. I said I didn't want to talk about anything sad, but then this dude jumped up. And you know what I was happiest the most about? I was happiest the most that he stopped trending, even while he was still alive. Like, because he wanted attention. He wanted to be famous. He wanted to have his friends call him and ask him what's going on. And he stopped trending on Monday while he still hadn't been found. But nobody cared about him enough to even make his bitch ass trend on Monday.
Now that's an interesting thought. You know how, like, during the primary, we can try this back to politics, actually.
Yeah, bring us back.
All right. So remember during the primary when people were saying that Bernie hashtags are being censored? Mm-hmm. I think that use of censorship is one of the few that I would actually approve of.
I'm just happy it happened naturally.
I'm happy it happened naturally as well. But do you agree or disagree that type of censorship would be an actual justification? Now, mind you, not necessarily censoring whatever he's putting out, but censoring the trending of it.
I'm just blanket against censorship.
Okay.
Like, even in that case, like, you take the good with the bad. I'm just proud. I'm just so proud of America and people confirmed this dude's lameness, and lameness in the African American colloquial, not in the ableist sense. But this dude was just whack as shit, and America confirmed before he killed himself that you are whack as shit. You're so whack as shit that you did the craziest thing that we've seen on Facebook on Sunday, and we forgot about your ass on Monday.
Yeah.
That's confirmed. Whack. All right, moving on. Sorry. Moving on. Let's see what else is happening. I don't know. What do you think? Ivanka responds to trademark allegations.
Talk about
I don't like. I don't care to talk about her. Hang on. Let's see what else is going on.
Personally, I think it's almost like talking about Chelsea in the '90s. But if she weren't a part of the administration, at the same time, I don't think that there's. I don't think discussing her as something big is the same as discussing like Jared Kushner. I just don't see it. So.
Well, it's because they play two totally different roles in the White House.
Yeah. But her role is the daughter, and everyone harping on it. Talking about her hawking her wares, I think that's probably one of the best ways and the only ways that I would like to talk about Ivanka, because that's kind of just that's tacky. I mean,
talking about her in general.
Yeah, I don't really care to talk about.
She's in the administration.
I know she's
a grown woman.
I understand, but I don't know. Like that. All right, so
she's fair game to me.
Oh, I'm not saying she's not fair game. I just think that there are better things to talk about.
Oh no! Oh well, I agree with you there. Yeah, there's plenty of other things.
That's why I said it's not like Chelsea Clinton in the '90s. I thought talking about Chelsea Clinton and all those people that were saying Chelsea was ugly in the '90s, all that kind of stuff. I thought that was totally horrible. That
was so wrong.
She was so out.
She was such a kid back then. Yeah,
and she was not fair game.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah. And what they did to her was absolutely.
But you'll talk about her ass now.
Oh, hell yeah, I'll talk about her now. She should not be running for office. I'll say that right now. Chelsea, if you ever see this, do not run for office.
Please don't. Because we're going to come for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just like God, just Chelsea.
She's
on the cover of Esquire, right?
Yeah, because, they probably booked that out like 7 months in advance and couldn't get the deposit back.
Good money was not on Hillary this time around. But anyway, I talk about North Korea tomorrow. I mean, I got a lot on North Korea. Okay, so let me give you a preview of the show tomorrow. Tomorrow's show is going to be pretty dope, I think. I'm talking, so all of you who were here last week, we talked extensively with Lindsay O'Rourke from Boston College on regime change. And she has the data that demonstrates that regime change is a flawed strategy. Like before we, I don't care what type of regime change you're talking about, it's a flawed strategy. So we had a chance to speak with her again in a condensed format. So we just really hit you real hard, real fast with the data and the facts. So we're going to be talking with her tomorrow. Glenn Greenwald will be on. We're going to talk about whatever the hell Glenn wants to talk about. We'll pull something out the news, but Glenn could talk about anything. I was going to call out one other person, but I'm not going to call him out. I'm going to hit you in your DMs. You know who you are. I'm trying to get you on for tomorrow. So I have a lot of guests that are coming on tomorrow. We're going to be covering North Korea, regime change, the media's involvement in all of this, the complicity and being co-conspirators. We're covering that. We'll take a couple of key headlines from the news on tomorrow and cover those issues as well. We'll be talking about Erdogan and the Turkey referendum. So it's going to be the best of, it's going to be the mix of foreign policy, the mix of activism, Black Lives Matter, a mix of police brutality, a mix of domestic presidential politics and media critique. We're doing it all tomorrow on the Facebook Live channel of The Intercept, which I think The Intercept's a pretty cool outfit.
Yeah.
You like The Intercept?
You think?
You approve of The Intercept?
100%.
They're not establishment, right?
No, it's not a matter of establishment, actually. It's a matter of the way the thinking is. I mean, I've said this before. I think that I don't know if there's some sort of rule that every newsroom has to have one centrist, and that Robert Mackey guy is theirs.
Oh, come on, you didn't have to say the name. Well, you're saying it. You're so that's you.
I don't.
Yeah,
it's just
there's a barrier.
Right. There's a barrier. They're not going to hire me.
There's a wall of partition here. Yeah. Okay.
But for the most part, I think all of their reporting is really pretty well done.
Solid. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, they do solid straight line. They do solid opinion.
Yeah.
Glenn does unbelievable analysis. They do solid work, which you can't say about most other organizations. Most other organizations I've found fault with, and other people, and even people have found them to be telling outright lies like the Washington Post more often than the Intercept.
Yeah.
So I would say the Intercept.
I mean,
is
like magnitudes of order difference.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
On a percentage level.
Absolutely. So I'd say the Intercept is top of the line right now.
Cool, man. Well, I'm hanging out with them tomorrow.
Congratulations.
And thanks, man. Thanks. And I'm hanging out with them tomorrow. And if things go well, maybe I'll hang out with them a little bit more. You never know. You know? All right. This is as good a spot as any to call a night, John. Yeah. I mean, we could literally, we probably could talk for another 2 hours.
Well, we're probably going to as we clean up.
We got to clean up, shut down, and get ready for tomorrow. And I've got to go home and actually send my taxes off before midnight.
I still can't believe you didn't do that yet.
Well, yeah, I've been here since an ungodly early time in this morning. I had it done Sunday.
Okay.
I did everything on Sunday. It's signed. I just got to send it off. But part of me wants to be like, I'm not sending you guys any money.
I went full adult this year and actually got them done by an accountant.
Yeah.
This was before I lost my job, so I had a little bit of money. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pay someone else to do my taxes.
Yeah.
And I owe the government quite a bit of money.
Yeah, so do I. I had every intention of getting an accountant to do it, but I just kept putting it off. And I realized if I go to an accountant now, they'll cuss me out.
Yes.
So I just did it myself. So with that being said, I need the next 5 minutes to get home to 9 minutes to get home and actually finish my taxes. See you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Facebook Live for The Intercept.
That was awesome.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.